My family humiliated me at my sister's wedding. Then I announced I'm the CEO of the hospital where mom works and dad's medical insurance comes from, and I just canceled both. Hey everyone. Stories like this mean something to you. Support us by subscribing. Say hi and tell us where you're watching from. Now let's get back into the story. I stood in the hotel bathroom, staring at my reflection in my champagne-colored bridesmaid dress, and I knew this day would break something inside me that could never be repaired. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Beverly. Where are you? We're taking family photos. Actually, never mind. We have enough people. Enough people. At her wedding. Where I was a bridesmaid. I'd flown in from across the country, rearranged my entire schedule, spent $3,000 on this dress alone because Beverly insisted on luxury. I was the maid of honor until 3 weeks ago when she demoted me to regular bridesmaid because, and I quote, Keisha just fits the aesthetic better. The aesthetic. Like I was a piece of furniture that didn't match the drapes. I splashed cold water on my face, careful not to ruin my makeup. Through the bathroom door I could hear the reception in full swing. Laughter. Music. The clinking of glasses. The sound of a family celebrating. A family I was born into but never truly belonged to. See, I'm Dr. Joanne Thompson. At 34, I'm the youngest hospital CEO in our state's history. I've been featured in Forbes Healthcare Executive magazine, and I've revolutionized patient care in underserved communities. But to my family, I'm just Joanne. The serious one. The boring one. The one who thinks she's better than everyone else because I chose medical administration over the family tradition of, well, mediocrity. I checked my makeup one final time and opened the door. Time to face the people who gave me life but never saw me living. The reception hall was decorated like something from a luxury magazine. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, gold accents on every table. Beverly had spared no expense, though she'd never worked a full-time job in her 32 years of life. I knew who paid for this. I'd been asked to contribute $20,000 6 months ago. Not invited. Not requested. Told. Family helps family, Joanne. Don't be selfish. I found my assigned seat at table 7. Not the family table. Table 7 near the bathrooms with cousins I'd met twice. At the head table, Beverly glowed in her $15,000 dress, our mother beside her, dabbing tears of joy. Dad stood to give his speech, his face already red from the open bar I'd also helped fund. "Hi, baby girl," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "Beverly, you've always been the light of this family. Your mother and I are so proud of the woman you've become. Beautiful, kind, loving. You've given us nothing but joy." I watched Mom nod, clutching Beverly's hand. He continued, "And Larry, son, you're getting the best woman in the world. She's got a heart of gold. She's going to be an amazing wife and mother. She's everything a man could want." The room erupted in applause. I clapped too mechanically. Not a single mention of me. I was in the wedding party sitting 50 feet away and I was invisible. "Hey, you're Joanne, right?" the woman next to me asked. "Beverly's sister?" "Yes," I said quietly. "I didn't even know she had a sister until yesterday. She never mentions you." That's when something inside me began to crack. If you're watching this, hit that like button. You want to see where this goes. The best man's speech was next. Larry's brother, Devin, grabbed the microphone with the confidence of someone who'd already had too much champagne. I gotta say, when Larry first brought Beverly home, I thought, "Bro, you hit the jackpot." He laughed and the room laughed with him. "She's gorgeous, she's fun, she's not one of those uptight career women who's married to their job, you know?" My stomach tightened. "She knows how to let loose, how to enjoy life. She's not walking around with a stick up her." He caught himself. "She's just real, you know? Down to earth. Family-oriented. The kind of woman who'll put her husband and kids first, not some corporate ladder." I felt every word like a slap. This wasn't random. I'd met Devin once at the engagement party, where he'd asked what I did for a living. When I told him I was a hospital CEO, he'd actually laughed and said, "Bet you're fun at parties." Now he was using the microphone at my sister's wedding to take shots at women like me. At me specifically, even if he didn't say my name. The table of groomsmen hooted their approval. Larry high-fived his brother. And my sister? She was beaming, laughing, loving every second of this. My mother caught my eye from across the room. For a moment I thought she might say something, might defend me. Instead she smiled and looked away. That's when my brother James slid into the empty seat next to me. "Rough speech, huh?" he said, sipping his whiskey. "You could say that. Look, Joanne, you gotta understand. Nobody means anything personal. It's just, you make people uncomfortable sometimes. You're always so accomplished, so perfect. It makes the rest of us feel like failures." I turned to face him fully. "So I should apologize for working hard?" James shrugged, his eyes already glazed from alcohol. "I'm just saying, maybe if you were more approachable. More like Beverly. She doesn't make everything a competition." "I'm not competing with anyone," I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "I'm just living my life." "Yeah, well, your life makes the rest of us look bad." He stood up, wobbling slightly. "Mom and Dad had to take out a loan for this wedding, you know. Because somebody only contributed $20,000 when Beverly needed $50,000. My mouth fell open. "I gave $20,000 for a wedding that isn't mine, James. How much did you give?" "I'm between jobs right now. You know that. You've been between jobs for 3 years. He pointed a finger at me. "See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Always judging, always keeping score. That's why nobody wanted you in the family photos. You bring the mood down." He walked away before I could respond, leaving me alone at table 7 with strangers who'd witnessed the entire exchange. The woman next to me leaned over. "Girl, I don't know you, but that was messed up." I excused myself and headed for the bar. I needed something stronger than champagne. That's where I found my mother, ordering another glass of wine. "Joanne," she said, noticing me. "Having fun?" "Not really, Mom." She sighed, that familiar sound of disappointment. "Please don't start. Not today. This is Beverly's day." "I haven't started anything. But I'd like to know why I wasn't in the family photos." Mom's face tightened. "Honestly, Beverly thought you'd ruin them. You always have this serious expression like you're judging everyone. The photographer said we needed joy, not corporate headshots." Her words transported me back to childhood. Age 7, winning the spelling bee. Mom had missed it because Beverly had a dance recital the same day. Spelling isn't as important as the arts, Joanne. Beverly needs our support more. Age 12, accepted into a prestigious summer science program. Dad had refused to drive me because it interfered with James's baseball schedule. "Your brother's team needs him. You can do science anytime." Age 16, graduating high school as valedictorian. They'd shown up 30 minutes late because Beverly needed to shop for prom. My speech was over. The photos were taken. I stood alone in my honor cords while other families celebrated. Age 22, graduating medical school. Neither parent attended because, "We've already seen you graduate 3 times, Joanne. It's expensive to keep flying out. Besides, Beverly just got engaged. We need to help her plan." Now at 34, standing at my sister's wedding, I realized nothing had changed. I could cure cancer, solve world hunger, walk on Mars, and I would still be the daughter who didn't matter. "Joanne." Mom's voice pulled me back. "Are you even listening to me?" "Every word," I said. "Tell me something, Mom. When was the last time you were proud of me?" She blinked, confused. "I'm always proud of you." "When? Give me one specific example." She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. "I don't keep a running list, Joanne. I'm proud. You know that." "No," I said quietly. "I really don't." "God, you're so dramatic." She grabbed her wine and turned away. "I need to get back to the family table. You know, where the important people are sitting." She didn't say it cruelly. That was worse. She said it matter-of-factly, like it was obvious truth. "Subscribe if you want to see how this ends." Dinner service began and I returned to table 7, my appetite gone. The meal was exquisite. Filet mignon, lobster tail, truffle risotto. $40 a plate minimum. I'd paid for 25 plates. The irony wasn't lost on me. Beverly stood to give her own speech, radiant under the spotlights. I just want to thank everyone for being here on the most important day of my life, she began, her voice sweet as honey. Especially my parents who have given me everything. Mom, Dad, you've always believed in me, always supported my dreams, always put me first. I'm the luckiest daughter in the world. Applause thundered through the room. And to my husband Larry, thank you for seeing me. For loving the real me, not some fake corporate version. For wanting a wife who'll be there, who'll make our house a home, who knows what really matters in life. More applause. I felt physically ill. Some people spend their whole lives chasing success, chasing titles, chasing money. But I've always known that real success is love, family, connection. And I'm so blessed to be surrounded by people who understand that. She raised her glass. To family. To love. To knowing what really matters. To family, the room chorused. I didn't raise my glass. I couldn't. The woman next to me leaned over again. She sounds like she's talking about someone specific. And not in a nice way. Yeah, I whispered. She is. As dinner continued, I watched my family. Dad, deep in conversation with Larry's father, probably discussing sports. Mom, fussing over Beverly's dress, making sure it photographed perfectly. James draining another whiskey. Aunts and uncles I barely knew laughing at the family table. No one looked for me. No one came to check on me. I was there, present in body, but I'd never been more absent to them. My mind drifted to the rehearsal dinner 2 nights ago. I'd arrived early, hoping to spend time with Beverly, maybe reconnect. We'd been close as children before the comparisons started, before she realized being the fun one meant I had to be the boring one. She'd walked in, seen me, and her face had fallen. Oh, you're here already. The invitation said 6. I'd replied. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd actually come early. Don't you have, like, hospital stuff or whatever? I'd helped her arrange place cards, listened to her stress about flowers, assured her everything would be perfect. Then her college friends arrived, 3 women I'd never met. This is my sister Joanne, Beverly had said. She's some big shots, yo. Very important, very busy, probably won't be around much this weekend. Nice to meet you, one of them had said politely. Joanne doesn't really do the whole family thing, Beverly had continued, laughing. She's more comfortable with spreadsheets than people. Right, Joanne? I'd smiled tightly. I'm comfortable with both, actually. Sure you are. She turned to her friends. Come on, let's go get ready. Joanne, you're fine here, right? You don't need company or anything. They'd left me alone in the rehearsal space for 20 minutes while they took photos outside. When confronted, Beverly had rolled her eyes. God, Joanne, not everything is about you. Can you stop being so sensitive for one weekend? Now, sitting at this wedding, watching her celebrate, I understood something crucial. I'd been cast in a role I never auditioned for. The successful sister who didn't need love because she had achievement. The strong one who didn't need support because she had money. But I was still human. I still needed family. I still needed to belong. I just needed it from people who'd never give it. I was contemplating a quiet exit when Uncle Raymond approached my table, drink in hand, that jovial expression people wear when they're about to say something terrible and call it humor. Joanne, there's our big time, Sue. His voice boomed across the table. Barely recognized you without your briefcase handcuffed to your wrist. The table laughed nervously. He pulled up a chair, uninvited. Let me ask you something, since you're so smart with money. How come you only gave Beverly 20 grand for the wedding? You're rolling in it, aren't you? My daughter said you make $500,000 a year. My jaw clenched. My finances aren't really up for discussion, Uncle Raymond. Oh, come on. We're family. Besides, your parents had to drain their retirement fund to cover what you didn't. Seems a little selfish, don't you think? Especially when you're living in some fancy penthouse, probably. I lived modestly. I drove a 4-year-old sedan. Most of my income went to student loan repayment. Medical school and my master's degree had cost $300,000, and charitable foundations I'd established for healthcare access. I contributed what I could, I said evenly. What you could? He laughed. Sweetheart, you could have paid for this whole wedding with your Christmas bonus. But I guess when you're focused on being a big shot, family comes second, huh? Someone across the table shifted uncomfortably. But no one defended me. You know what your problem is? Uncle Raymond leaned closer, his breath reeking of bourbon. You forgot where you came from. You think a fancy title makes you better than us. But at the end of the day, family is family. And you've abandoned yours. I haven't abandoned anyone, I said, my voice shaking now. I'm right here. Physically, maybe. But when's the last time you came to a family cookout? Sunday dinner? You're always too busy, too important. Because I wasn't invited. Because when I did come, I spent the entire time being criticized for what I wasn't doing right. Uncle Raymond stood, swaying slightly, and grabbed a fork to tap his glass. The room quieted. I'd like to propose a toast, he announced. To family. To the people who show up, who sacrifice, who put others first. To Beverly, who knows what matters. And to her parents, who've given everything for their kids, even when those kids don't appreciate it. He looked directly at me on those last words. Some people think success is a corner office and a paycheck, he continued, warming to his theme. But real success is this: love, family, being there when it counts. So here's to the people who understand that. To the people who are actually present. To family. The room echoed. To family. Except this time dozens of eyes turned to me. Judgmental. Accusatory. Like I was the villain in this story. I stood up. Every eye in that room tracked my movement. Actually, I said, my voice carrying across the sudden silence, I have something to say. My mother's face went pale. Joanne, don't. But I was done. $20,000. A lifetime of being invisible. Speeches that painted me as the family failure. An uncle publicly shaming me while drinking champagne I'd helped buy. I think it's time everyone knew the truth, I said, my voice steady now. Powerful. I'd given presentations to boards of directors, negotiated million-dollar deals, testified before congressional committees. This room didn't scare me anymore. You want to talk about family? About showing up? Let's talk about it. Beverly stood, her face furious. Joanne, sit down. Right now. No. The word felt like freedom. I've been sitting down my whole life. Being quiet. Being grateful for scraps. Not anymore. Dad rose from the family table. Joanne Thompson, you will not ruin your sister's wedding. I laughed, and it was not a kind sound. Ruin it? Dad, I paid for a quarter of this wedding. I think that earns me 90 seconds to speak. The room was silent now, that horrible suspended silence before a disaster. Here's what nobody seems to know, I began, looking directly at Uncle Raymond. Mom works at Metropolitan Hospital. She's been a nurse there for 23 years. Dad, your insurance comes through Mom's employment. Great benefits. Amazing coverage. You've used it for 3 surgeries, countless prescriptions, that heart condition that requires monthly monitoring. Dad's face changed. Mom grabbed his arm. And Uncle Raymond, your wife works there too. In billing. Has for 15 years. Same insurance plan. Covered your diabetes medications, your daughter's emergency appendectomy last year, your son's physical therapy after his car accident. Raymond's jovial expression evaporated. What none of you seem to realize is that 6 months ago, I became the CEO of Metropolitan Hospital. I oversee operations. I approve budgets. I make personnel decisions. I paused, letting that sink in. I'm your boss, Mom. And I control the insurance policies that cover this entire family. Mom's wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. No one moved to clean it. So when you talk about family loyalty, about showing up, about sacrifice, maybe remember who's been quietly ensuring you all have health care. Who's been protecting your jobs during restructuring. Who's been maintaining benefits packages that most hospitals are cutting. Beverly's voice was small now. Joanne, what are you saying? I turned to her, this sister I'd loved despite everything. I'm saying I'm done. Done being invisible. Done being the A-team. Done being the villain in your story when I've been the one holding everything together. You wouldn't, Dad said, but his voice shook. You wouldn't jeopardize your own mother's job. A week ago I wouldn't have. I pulled out my phone, opened my email. But then I wasn't invited to family photos. I was seated with strangers. I was publicly humiliated multiple times. So this morning I sent an email. My finger hovered over the phone screen, displaying the email I drafted at 3 a.m., unable to sleep, finally accepting what I had to do. This email, I continued, my voice eerily calm, effective immediately, terminates Mom's employment at Metropolitan Hospital. It also cancels all insurance policies for family members employed there. Uncle Raymond, your wife's coverage ends Monday. Dad, your next cardiology appointment? You'll be paying out of pocket. That's about $4,000, by the way. You're bluffing, James said, but he sounded uncertain. I looked at him. Am I? You said I only contributed $20,000 to this wedding when Beverly needed $50,000. Want to know why? Because 3 months ago Mom called me crying. She needed $15,000 for property taxes. Paid it. 2 months before that, Dad needed $12,000 for his surgery deductible. Paid it. Last year I gave you $30,000 to start a business that never materialized, James. And Beverly, that car you drive? The lease is in my name because your credit was too poor. $19,000 per year. The numbers hung in the air like grenades. I've given this family over $300,000 in the last 5 years. Not loans. Gifts. Because that's what family does, right? We show up. We sacrifice. We put others first. Mom found her voice. Baby, please. You're upset, I understand, but what, Mom? But I should keep quiet? Keep funding a family that treats me like hired help? Keep being grateful that you tolerate my presence? Beverly was crying now, mascara running. Joanne, you're being cruel. Cruel. The word tasted bitter. Was it cruel when you demoted me from maid of honor because I didn't fit your aesthetic? Was it cruel when Dad gave a speech celebrating you and didn't mention me once? Was it cruel when Uncle Raymond announced to 200 people that I'm a selfish disappointment? You're taking this all wrong, Aunt Michelle spoke up. We love you, Joanne. You're just being sensitive. I pressed send on the email. My phone chimed with the delivery confirmation. It's done, I said simply. The board will receive my recommendations Monday morning. Mom, you'll be offered a severance package. 3 months. Very generous. But your employment ends in 30 days. All family insurance policies terminate with it. Mom collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Dad looked like he might have another heart attack right there. Ironically, one he'd now have to pay to treat privately. Beverly rushed toward me, fury replacing tears. How could you? On my wedding day. You've destroyed everything. No, I said, stepping back. You destroyed it. Years ago. Every time you made me invisible. Every time you took my money but not my presence. Every time you celebrated each other and forgot I existed. Larry appeared beside his bride. You need to leave. Now. I laughed. With pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your reception. By the way, the final payment for the venue was due yesterday. I canceled my credit card authorization this morning. So you might want to figure out how to cover the remaining $25,000 they're expecting. Beverly's face went white. You didn't. I did. Turns out when you're not family in the photos, you're not family on the bills either. I grabbed my purse and started toward the exit. Behind me, chaos erupted. Mom wailing. Dad shouting. Beverly screaming. Uncle Raymond cursing. James calling me every name he could think of. At the door, I turned back one final time. You wanted me to know my place? Congratulations. I finally do. And it's not here. It's not with people who only love what I can give them, not who I am. Joanne, wait. It was my cousin Tamara, the one I'd barely spoken to all night. She rushed over, her eyes wet. I'm so sorry. For all of it. You deserved better. Her words broke something in me. The first real kindness I'd received all night, and it came from someone who was practically a stranger. Thank you, I whispered. That means more than you know. Then I walked out into the cool night air, leaving behind the family I was born into but would never belong to. The coffee shop near my office has become my sanctuary. It's where I come to think, to process, to heal from wounds that still ache but no longer bleed. My phone buzzes. Another voicemail from Mom. I don't listen to it. I've received 247 calls in 6 months. Voicemails begging, threatening, guilting. Texts from James promising he's changed. Emails from Beverly alternating between rage and manipulation. I've responded to none of them. The hospital thrives under my leadership. We've expanded free clinics in underserved areas. We've increased staff salaries. We've become a model for ethical healthcare administration. Last week I won Healthcare Executive of the Year. My parents weren't there to celebrate. But my mentor was. My colleagues were. The communities we serve were. People who saw me really saw me not as a wallet or a title but as a whole person. Mom did lose her job. She found another nursing position but the benefits aren't as good. Dad's medical bills have mounted. They've had to sell the house. Uncle Raymond's wife transferred to another hospital system. Beverly and Larry struggled to pay their wedding venue bill. Apparently, starting a marriage in debt isn't the fairy tale she imagined. I feel guilt sometimes. Late at night I wonder if I went too far. But then I remember Table 7. I remember not being in family photos. I remember my sister's speech about fake corporate versions, while wearing a dress I helped pay for. I remember spending 34 years begging for scraps of love from people who were supposed to give it freely. Tamar meets me for coffee once a month now. She's the only family member I still speak to. Last week she told me the family talks about me constantly. They say you've changed, she said. That you're not the Joanne they knew. Good, I replied. That Joanne died at a wedding. This Joanne knows her worth. For what it's worth, Tamara said quietly, you're the bravest person I know. And I'm proud to be your cousin. I cried then. Real tears. Healing tears. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't your real family. Sometimes the people who share your blood will drain it from you. Sometimes walking away isn't cruelty, it's survival. I built a family now. Friends who show up. Colleagues who respect me. Mentors who guide me. A therapist who's helping me understand that I was never the problem. The coffee shop door opens. My best friend Simone waves at me. We're planning a trip to Paris. Just because. Because life is short and I've spent enough of it trying to earn love from people incapable of giving it. Ready to go? She asks. I stand, leaving my half-finished coffee. On the table my phone buzzes again. Another call from home. From people who called themselves family but never treated me like one. I silence it. Yeah, I tell Simone. I'm ready. As we walk out into the sunshine I realize something profound. I spent my whole life trying to be enough for them. But I was always enough. They just couldn't see it. That's not my failure. It's theirs. And I'm finally free. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments below. Sometimes the hardest thing we do is walk away from toxicity, even when it wears the face of family. You are not alone. Your worth isn't determined by people who refuse to see it. Remember that. The hardest lesson? Sometimes love means loving yourself enough to leave. And that's not selfish, it's sacred.